Hey there guys, how's it going for today? And in today's video I am discussing, is Reliquary Tower that good of a card? Alright, so I guess I actually probably put on, the thumbnail there is Reliquary Tower bad or something like that. I guess something like that. I haven't done it actually yet, but something like that. I probably did that because that will get a lot more clicks, but, that's not really what we're discussing. We're just discussing in general, is it really that good? Now, I'm going to say something here, guys, just before we get diving right on into actually discussing what we're discussing here, just for a sec, is that take my opinion with a grain of salt. You can do that, I will say what I have to say about cards and whatnot because I have a YouTube, and you know what? I like to put out these videos, and I don't like to put these videos out there just to name and shame cards or whatever, whatnot, that sort of thing. That's not the point. The point is to discuss cards and to say, hey, is this that good of card? Yes or no. And sometimes the answer is no. It's not that good in every single deck or whatever. It can go in a lot of decks, but should it really go in a lot of decks? That's the sort of discussion. It's like, just one of those things. Like, I don't want to put out negative content. That's one of the things that I've sort of decided. This is sort of, quote unquote, can be misconstrued as negative, but what I'm trying to do with videos like this is help make people make more informed decisions and whatnot, and help you guys assess, cards and think about, well, is this actually useful to me, and why is it useful to me? What's the main reason I actually want to run this card? Or whatever it is. That's the whole point of it. So, right, let's get into the discussion about, is Reliquary Tower that good of a card? Now, it's not a terrible card, but I just see it in so many decks where it just doesn't belong, and you kind of look at people and you go, why are you running this card? And they're just like, well, it's a good card. And I so happen to have one, and it's, if you're running it for, like, oh, it's pretty, I have a nice foil one of it, I just wanted to jam it in this deck. If you're running it for fun or whatever, or just the enjoyment of having it in your deck, yeah, sure, that's fine. I can't stop you doing that either. Again, it's your choice to decide what you want to do with your, your collection or whatnot, or the cards you have. Like, again, that's your prerogative. Again, you don't have to, do anything with it. Again, everyone plays on different levels and whatnot, but to me, discarding cards isn't that big of a downside, so the fact that you have no maximum hand size is just pretty irrelevant. It's a colorless land. Now, that does mean it's a very flexible card and could go in a lot of decks, but are you ever going to put it in your mono white deck? Are you really drawing that many cards that you really need to keep all those cards in your hand? That's the point to me where it's like, well, it's irrelevant that you're discarding your hand or parts of your hand. Yes, sometimes it can be annoying to have to discard cards or whatnot, and that can be, well, what am I going to discard time? That whole decision-making tree can be a bit annoying too. So I know that's a big reason why people go, well, I just run it because I don't ever want to have to discard cards. Or I don't ever want to have to, think about what I'll have to discard. But then again, there's so many things that other people will run that'll make you discard cards and things like that. So especially like Turgid decks and things like that, these sorts of cards don't stop you from discarding from any other effects. So it doesn't really do a whole lot. Yes, it's a land. You don't expect your land to do that much it taps for mana and it comes in untapped. In a 1 or 2 color deck, yeah, sure, it's really not that bad to run a card like this. But if your deck has a lot of card draw in it, if you're in mono blue or something like that draws a lot of cards. If you're in Izzet, if your commander draws a lot of cards, things like that, and you go, well, I would rather keep most of the cards in my hand, then yeah, that's absolutely fair enough. I get why you're running it in a deck like that. Niv Mizzet, Perun, things like this. Those decks that just draw a whole bunch of cards a lot of the time, but a lot of the time, those decks just basically win right on the spot and kill everyone. So it doesn't really matter that you, again, discard cards. But there are times that doesn't actually happen again, but still, like, for the most part, it is fairly good in those decks. Still, even if that isn't that big of a deal, it's just like, well, I kill everyone, so it didn't matter that much. But still, if you didn't actually kill everyone, then it's like, well, at least I have Reliquary Tower and don't have to discard any of the cards that I have. But again, like, discarding cards isn't that bad because you're going to have a whole bunch of cards that just don't do a whole lot for you. You're going to have a whole lot of lands that are in your hand that don't really do a whole lot. You're going to have a whole lot of extra, 2-mana ramp, whatnot, that sort of thing that's in your hand that's just not really that relevant. At that point, you just need more cards, you just need more gas, you need more fuel, and that sort of thing to keep going on your next turn, or just try to kill everyone next turn, or try to protect yourself as much as possible. So those are the cards that you really need to look at. Like, these are the cards that I 100% need. Like, you've got other payoff cards that are in your hand that, you now don't really need. Or maybe you might go, well, I want to keep one copy of, another payoff card just in case my Niv Mizzet dies. But otherwise, I really don't care. Or maybe some reanimation if you've got it in your colors. But again, for the most part, Reliquary Tower just doesn't serve that big of a purpose in most decks that run it. I just see it in so many decks where people are running it. And again, if you want to run it and you have one and you think it's a cool card, or you have the pretty foil version, don't let me stop you. Don't ever let me stop you from running a card if you like the card or you think it's cool or whatever. I'm just trying to say to those people that go, you know what, why am I actually running this card? Or have I ever thought about why I run this card, or why would I put this card in my deck? Just think, does my commander draw a lot of cards? Not really. Does my deck draw a lot of cards? Not really. Is my deck a reanimated deck? Yes. Okay, well, there's a big thing there. Your deck's a reanimated deck anyway, so discarding cards is not bad for you unless all the cards you have in your hand are the reanimation spells. Then it might be a bit awkward, but a lot of the time the reanimation is tied to your commander or tied to other cards and whatnot, that sort of thing. So it's just one of those effects that it's like, well, I could do this or I could do that, but that's where I'm at. This is the point I'm at. This is what I'm doing with this. Is this the most effective thing that I can do? Or what else can I do? So those are the things that, I look at a lot of the time. I'm very nitpicking in this regard with cards and effects and things like that. To me, again, it's not that big of a disadvantage to discard cards. Now, on the other hand, I will run Thought Vessel, and that says you have no maximum hand size. So why do I think Thought Vessel is good versus I don't really think, Reliquary Tower is that good? They both kind of do the same thing. They both tap for mana, and they both have that extra effect. Well, that's kind of the reason why I like Thought Vessel, is because it's just stapled onto this decently good mana rock anyway. So that's a card I would normally play. If that mana rock just said 2 mana taps for 1 mana, that's all, 1 colorless mana, that's all it does. It didn't even have that Reliquary Tower text on it that you have no maximum hand size. I would still play that card probably, or think about playing that card probably, because any of my decks that have, not green in them will probably need a card like that, because they need, mana rocks to really function and to really ramp out the cards that you need to play and things like that. So that's where I think like Reliquary Tower versus Thought Vessel is. I just don't see the point that much in running Reliquary Tower, but I see all the point in running Thought Vessel. It's just a mana rock that gives you extra upside. Sure, it's, Reliquary Tower is an extra a land that gives you some extra upside, so it's a sort of utility land. That's fine, but again, when you're in multiple colors, sometimes if you're in more than three or more colors, I probably wouldn't run it, unless it's probably your one of your only sources of colorless mana. You really need all your other lands to be producing like your colors all the time. That's why I don't like pain lands and cards like that, because you make the mana of your colors that you need if you pay life or whatever. It's not just you tap this, make the mana you need, no matter what. And in two or less color decks, that's okay. A colorless land or a land like a pain land or whatever that taps for your colors, that's fine if you want to run it or you're on a budget or whatever, you don't have the other lands, or you just want to run more duels, especially if you've got things like Field of the Dead and things like that. It might be, fine and worth it to do that. But again, getting back to the point, which is, this is a colorless land overall. That's all it does. It doesn't do anything else. Now, yes, again, if you're in two colors or whatnot, or one color, and your deck does draw a lot of cards, then maybe it might be an okay card in some decks to be used. But again, like, you can still find cards that will do what it does, and sometimes, yes, you might be like, well, I want an extra copy of that effect because my deck really cares about me having a lot of cards in hand all the time. Even if you're like, well, most of the time it doesn't matter, you've just got like a bunch of lands that you can pitch or whatnot. But maybe you've got some like enchantments or creatures or whatever that say, discard a card, create a zombie, or discard a card, this creature gets +1/+1 till end of turn, things like that or whatnot, whatever. Those effects, if you can activate them multiple times and things like that, and just get multiple extra effects out of that, then that's another reason. Like, this is the thing, like, this is my main point, is you need multiple reasons, in my opinion, to want to keep all those lands in your hand or whatnot. You need other effects like, okay, cool, I don't need all these lands in my hand. Yep, sure, that's fine. I'm not just going to discard them because I've already planned ahead for knowing that I won't need these lands at some point. So I'll just discard them to this to get extra zombies, or to get extra counters, or to do something else, or to make mana or whatnot, whatever. So there's all kinds of different things, or I'll just use them to cycle through the rest of my deck to draw more cards, draw more gas, get more action, whatnot, rather than just like I've got a bunch of lands in hand and nothing to really do with them. Like, if you have those multiple things and you've sort of planned ahead and gone, yes, this is why I need this card, because I really need to get all of the lands in my hand so I can discard them to a Eula's Influence or whatever, something else or whatever it is. So there's always reason to play certain things in certain decks. It's not like this is never a dead card. That's the thing. But it's just that, again, there's so many people that just run it and just like, oh, okay, it doesn't really do anything, or you've never got more than like 2 or 3 cards in hand, or again, you're in a 3 or 4 color deck and you're just like, oh, it'd be great if I could actually cast any of my cards, but I need another blue source, or I need another white source, or I need another red source, or I need another black source, or another green source, or whatever, but all I've got is Reliquary Tower, and that's not really helping me. Yes, it's helping me not discard the cards that are in my hand, but I really need colors of mana, so it can be very awkward to utilize that card in those heavier and more demanding colors of decks. So just be aware of those things out there, guys. Like, always be aware of what your deck's doing. And that's what I'm always trying to do. I'm always trying to go, what is my deck doing? Yes, my deck does draw a lot of cards, but I'm in 4 colors. Can I really afford a colorless land? Probably not, because again, it's not a card that my 4 color deck can swing with that much, because it won't tap for all most of the colors that I need my deck to tap for. So it will be very hard for me to actually play the game in the way that I wish to play it, because again, I don't have this very specific, card interaction going on or whatnot. But anyway, guys, I hope this is helpful, informative, that sort of thing. That's what I want to do with videos like this. I just want to help you guys, think and go, okay, cool, yes, that is, thought-provoking, etc. Yes, I will think about it, whatnot. If I'm building a deck that, or have a deck that it has it in it and it doesn't really do much in that deck, like maybe I'll consider doing something else with it, or putting it in a deck that really needs it or really wants it. Like, I think every card is like that. Every card wants its own different home. Like, I was thinking about the new Exile commander, the Is It commander, that whenever you draw a card, you exile cards instead, and you can play those cards and whatnot. That commander does not want a card like this, because you're not drawing that many cards. You're exiling cards. You're never going to have a handful of cards. You're going to have this exile pile of spells that you want to cast. So you're going to want all of these rituals and things like that. You're going to want, to have the mana that you need all the time to cast all the spells that you need when you need to do so. So you don't want cards like this, because, again, it doesn't really do a whole lot in your deck. It, is just there. Like it has no other text really, because again, you're not going to really need that effect that much. So yeah, but anyway, as I said, that's pretty much it. You can let me know what you think. You can write your thoughts down there in the comments below. I'll be sure to try to respond to all the comments that you guys have. Really do enjoy interacting and talking to you guys about EDH, all the geeky things that we all love here. And yeah, I'll see you down there in the comments below, or I'll see you in the next one. Hey, you've just finished watching one of our videos. A bunch of other videos are popping up on your screen now for you to check out, so why not check them out?